Uh, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Talking Phillies Sports with Matty B program here on the Edge of Philly Sports with your boy Matty B. Tonight with the call, but listen, I'm going to be upfront with you guys. I am struggling. I got something has touched me, and it's affecting me. So I'm going to do my best to get through it. But it's great to be back here with you guys tonight on this Monday, February 5th, 2024. Another rousing episode of the program. And we have a lot to talk about, as we typically do here on this show in the Philadelphia sports landscape. Um, and, oh, hey, Al, what's up? I must be sick, man. I don't He's never chimed in like as Big Al. I always get the corporate EOP. Hey, Matty B, what's going on? But good to talk to you tonight, Al. Hope you're doing well. Um, So we got a lot to talk about, a lot to get into, a lot of stuff. And when I was preparing for this show yesterday, before the illness got me, I really debated hard about not talking about the Eagles. I really didn't want to go Eagles tonight. I wanted to leave it all behind because, as I said, I think last week and weeks before, I've reached sort of a boiling point with my toleration or my tolerance for this team, and especially the fan base. And they continue to push me to different limits every week. And I said, okay, whatever. I'll talk about the Eagles one final week. I'm going to talk about the Eagles this week, and then I'm going to leave them for a while because they deserve to be left alone anyway. There's nothing really positive anymore to talk about when it comes to this team, and it's only getting me more mad. And I'm already at the edge, right? I'm already at that tipping point with this team, and I don't want to necessarily go over. So I don't want to go past a certain point and not be able to come back. You know what I mean? I don't want to go out to the way deep end and be kind of cut off. So I kind of want to stay out there to where the lifeguard can still see me and he's whistling at me and all that. And I'm just like, yeah, 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 leave me alone. But I have to address a couple things with this team. And not so much the team, it's delusional fan base, man. The Philadelphia Eagles delusional fan base. The fan base does not want to accept the reality of the situation that we're in. And that's what I really want to address tonight. And particularly some people individually within that fan base. So we're gonna go into some Eagles. We're also going to talk some Flyers tonight, as today the London, Ontario Police Service had their press conference. They officially made it official. Carter Hart has been charged with one count of sexual abuse. And what does that mean for his future? Yesterday, I had an awesome time coming on here with the Clear the Ice crew. We did a sort of a Flyers midseason check-in show, and we talked pretty heavily about the Flyers situation with the goalie. Um, the situation off the ice is what it is, and there's nothing we're going to be able to do about it. And I think that it's a foregone conclusion that Carter Hart is done here. I mean, I don't see a way back from this, even if he is proven guilty. You know what I'm saying? Even if he does come through this innocent, does anybody see a way back for him here? So at the very least bit, he's not going to play here ever again. And what does that mean for the Flyers? And I hate that it kind of sounds selfish for me to like kind of talk like this, but I mean, why can't we catch a break, man? 30 some odd years now, 40 years of goaltending infutility, and it continues. It does. It continues. As I said, I don't want to come off the wrong way with this. I understand the bigger picture here, but still, I mean, I guess it is true. We can't have nice things in Philadelphia. I really believe, I'm starting to believe that. And the goaltending search will now continue. The Flyers are in a better place, I think, goaltending wise, than they've been in years past. They got 7 quality, or I shouldn't say quality. They got 7 guys currently in the system right now. Only 2 of them were NHL tested, but hey, it is what it is. We got to start from somewhere. But we'll talk a little bit about the Flyers, and of course, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Phillies because every day we get into this winter, we get closer to the spring, and that means we get closer to Valentine's Day. And I'm a big Valentine's Day kind of guy. That's right. Call me Mr. Sensitive, man. Call me Mr. Romance. My girlfriend will attest to this. I sprinkle her feet with rose petals daily. I attend to every part of her needs. I am there for her above all. She is above everything. And this Valentine's Day Valentine's Day in general is an opportunity for me to show my love and appreciation for my girlfriend or I'm sorry, my fiance, and but it's even more special today, this Valentine's Day because we have Phillies baseball starting. Pitchers and catchers will report on Valentine's Day to Clearwater, so it makes a very special day that more special. I mean, when you look at me, don't you see Mr. Romance, right? Don't you see Mr. Caring, Mr. Giving, Mr. Place people's needs above my own? And that's what I am. My fiancée is a lucky person to have me. She really is. I'm so dead for this. You have no idea how much trouble I'm gonna get in for this. But, no, Valentine's Day is coming, so are the Phillies pitchers and catchers, so, be on the lookout for that. We're gonna talk some Phillies. Michael says the Flyers haven't had a star goalie since the late great Pelly Lindbergh. Yeah, Michael, I wrote an article for the network here a few weeks ago or a few days ago. Again, guys, you got to again little context. I'm sick. I'm really sick, and I'm trying to hold it together. But I wrote an article for the EOP a few weeks ago about it was mid-season show article or mid-season check-in point for the Flyers, and one of the things I mentioned was it's really kind of mind-boggling that we can't seem to have gotten or had a decent like guy that we can say this was our goalie. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, this was our guy since Pelly died, and I think someone needs to look into this because it's criminal now. I mean, it's really criminal, but it's starting to become a problem that we can't figure out the goaltending situation in this town. But yeah, and of course that search now will continue on. That will continue on. Al says Mr. Valentine's. That's right, Al. They call me Mr. Valentine's. That's right. Um, some of you ladies out there might be wondering, what's it take, to make a guy like me tick? I'm a very complex creature, filled with emotions, depth, layers, and um, you know, just looking at you, Maddie B's fiance, because you really lucked out with a guy like me. So yeah. Anyway, but when I'm better and watch this, I'm probably gonna really regret this because I not only am I sick, I'm pumped up with a bunch of cold medication too. So I don't realize anything I'm saying right now, but it's gonna I'm such a Michael says the Phillies are banking their year in Rob Thompson, which is a joke. We're gonna get into the Phillies there, Michael, because there's some things about the Phillies that are concerning me. I expressed that concern yesterday a little bit on the E&M show on the network there or on EOP when I kind of went off a little bit on um, the silence of the Phillies so far this offseason, and I think it was misunderstood. I'm not asking for the $1,000 million man or $100 million man. I get it. You can't do that. And the Phillies did do that. Sure, they signed Nola. But they haven't really done anything, uh, to address the other issues on this team up to this point. Now I get it. There's a lot of time left, and the Phillies still might make a few moves. There's some rumors out there now that got on with Montgomery and Blake Snell and whatnot. There's still a back end of the bullpen that needs to be addressed, and I don't know if Kirkering is that answer. And the bench is atrocious, and it's still the same bench it was when they limped off the field last year in Game 7 in the NLCS. So, and Rob Thompson, of course, is not my favorite guy, and so you know, there's a lot of things that are going to that still need to be answered for if you're asking me, and we're running out of time, or I said the Phillies are running out of time to get some answers for that because we got baseball in about 2 weeks. So, yeah, Robbie gets an extension after losing the analytical pennant, which is a bigger joke. Yeah, again, Michael, I'm sure you watched when I went on my little rant back in October, but Michael, come on, man, even Matty B, has to let time heal some wounds, man. Don't worry, man. They're going to come ripping off here. The scabs and those wounds will come ripping off here fast enough. And I get it. I mean, you're getting an early jump on things, but we got to pace ourselves with the hate, man. You don't want to flame out in February, dude. We got a whole season ahead of us, man. Rob Thompson deserves a little bit of a break right now. Right now. Come on. We're not playing baseball yet. There'll be plenty of time. I'm sure that I'll be one of the bandwagon fire Rob Thompson guys here on April the 15th when the Phillies start out 3-11. I get that, and I'll be right along with that. But man, we gotta pace ourselves, man. He also says the Phillies not signing Wheeler but backing the Brinks truck to that Japanese pitcher. Phillies are not signing Wheeler, but backing it. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Uh, Wheeler, final year of his contract. Do the Phillies sign him? Do they stop negotiations for a contract extension until next season? Here very soon. Phillies are not a big in-season contract negotiating type team, but we're gonna wait and see on all that. But we're gonna talk Phillies here in a minute, Michael. But we gotta pause here because I got to get back to the top of the show. We got to do things in order as we do here every week, and we're gonna start things off with your day in Philly sports history. And again, like I said last week, no matter what the thing is, if it's horse racing, if it's um, if it's you know whatever, roller derby, uh, dwarf tossing, whatever the thing is in Philadelphia sports history for the day that I'm on the air, I am going to report, no matter how obscure. And keeping with the Phillies, and I guess is a perfect segue. Back on this day in 1880, and again, I'm going to sit here and tell you that I don't have firsthand knowledge of this. I wasn't here. I wasn't on the streets of Philadelphia on February 5th, 1880. I did not witness this. I didn't crank out the teletype and the printer press for that. I was not involved in any of that. I did not. I wasn't part of this, but I'm just reporting what I'm reading. The National League would vote in the Worcester Ruby Legs, also known as the Worcester Brown Stockings. Now, this team for 2 years, that National League team, for 2 years would serve as a placeholder for the upcoming Philadelphia Quakers. And we all know who the Philadelphia Quakers became, and that was, of course, Philadelphia Phillies. Quakers coming into their own in 1883. So essentially, on this date in 1880, the team that would become the Philadelphia Phillies was born and known as the Worcester Ruby Legs. Um, Interesting nugget. Again, I was not there. I wasn't part of the team naming contest. None of that, right? But on this day in 1880, essentially, even though we recognize 1883 as the birth of the Phillies or the Quakers, on this day, the team that would become them, the Worcester Ruby Legs. And I miss those names, man. We gotta go back to that. Yeah, I want to name a team that way. I want to go back to those old timey things, but they would be born on this day in 1880. This is your Philadelphia, your moment in Philadelphia sports history. Brought to you in part by Dave Cherry for all your workman's compensation, motor vehicle accident, personal injury, criminal law needs. Call Dave Cherry 610-565-0300. And yeah, Phillies were in essence born today, even though we don't recognize it. We recognize 1883, rightfully so, because that's when they were actually born. The Philadelphia Quakers, and then became the Philadelphians. You imagine a team in this day and age being named the Philadelphia Philadelphians, and then that was shortened down to Phillies. It's amazing. Look up the lineage of the Phillies, how they became the Phillies. It's truly a remarkable story. Um, there's nothing so unoriginal to call yourself the Philadelphia Philadelphians. All right, I'm just sorry. Even I would do better than that. But anyway, that's where the Phillies came. The shortened version of the Philadelphians, and then the Phillies became officially the Phillies a few years later after that. So that's kind of in a nutshell how the Phillies were born. But let's get back to what we came here to do, and that was bash the Eagles fan base. That's right. That I am still a member of, and I keep on forgetting that. And I don't forget that. I got to remember that I am a member of the Eagle fan base, and that I want to make sure that I don't lump them all into this. But there's certain few and certain things going on today that are really disturbing. Um, no need for me to get up here and restate that I am not all in on the Philadelphia Eagles, nor have I been all in on this team really for a few years now. There's no need for me to do that. It's well documented, almost to a caricature type status, right? I mean, it's become almost a game or a silly joke. Fire Howie, blah, blah, blah. I get that, right? But And I accepted my position on this, in this fan system. I especially here on EOP. I'm gonna kinda use EOP as a smaller version of this. I accepted where I was and where I stood on this network. And in light of all the success the Eagles had, especially in 2022, I kinda sounded like a crackpot. I did. "Oh, they're doomed, Sonny. They're gonna fail," and that's kinda how it came off. I get that. But things they kinda worked out the way they did this year. And I was looking a little bit more, somewhat credible. And, but even in the face of all that, and I guess I gotta keep it in perspective because as much as I didn't change my standpoint in 2022 when they got to the Super Bowl, and I kept saying, "Get off my lawn," and all that, and it turned out to be the right thing. I can't expect people to kinda come around and understand my way of thinking. I get that, but it's reaching, like, epically silly levels, and, on this network here, and I usually go after the same cast of characters on this network, but I have a new target here, and I have a new it's not target, I like this guy, but, um, I was watching a show, and matter of fact, it's on tonight, and no, it's not this one, but it's after this show, at 9 o'clock. Party on Broad. I just suggest you guys go check it out. Uh, Ryan Reese, Chris Dibes, Crockpot Dibes, Chris Dibes, good dude. I believe Michael Lange, I think his name is Mike Lange. They do a thing called Party on Broad, and they essentially stick on their green sunglasses, dip their feet in the green Kool-Aid, and just start kinda, propaganding you up down the road. Now, Chris Dives, not so much. Chris is a really kinda stand-up guy. He really knows what he's talking about when it comes to football. The other 2, I don't know, man. I'm starting to believe, um, I don't know. And you know what? I listen, here's a little snippet of their show last week. You ready?
What are we talking about here? He got off social media completely, guys. He got off all of it. He's not on it. He just did a video with Devontae Smith. I'm pretty sure that was like just shot. Like he's not going anywhere. Him and Jalen aren't beefing to the point where they hate each other now. Like I don't understand. And people said, well, he wasn't wearing Hurt season shirts. Stop. He's here. He stays.
Yeah, please. That's the thing. Is people want to push their own narrative. They want to push the turmoil and the drama. It makes for better ratings. It makes for more clicks, yada, yada, yada. I'm sick of it. It's like, can we just talk about some real things here?
Until that happens.
All right, that was a little snippet from Party on Broad last week. And again, I'm not going to sit here and defame the show. It's a good show. Good guys, right? And this was a reference to the A.J. Brown stuff last week, that he wanted to be traded or he was going to get traded. And this was the response to that. They kind of attacked a certain part of the fan base that was kind of, I guess, pushing that narrative. And as I'm listening to this, I'm watching this, I'm wondering, listen, I get it. Maybe you don't like the fact that they're kind of trying to make, they're trying to put smoke where there's fire where there's smoke, or trying to generate something. But it's not fake news, right? It's not like something so out of left field that A.J. Brown has character issues. Oh, no, say it ain't so. No, I mean, we all agree with that, right? A.J. Brown has character issues. Right? A.J. Brown is a cancer-like person in the locker room, right? Can we all agree to that? Because didn't we just watch that? Didn't we just see that over the course of the season? And when everything was good, when they were winning, and I'm going back to 2022, when they're winning and AJ's getting his, and everything is right in the world, AJ's fine. The minute some adversity kind of flips, AJ goes south. And then as they continue to lose, they continue to not be good, he went even more. I mean, way south. This is a team captain, by the way, right? This is one of the leaders of this football team. And to sit here and say that there's no fire where there's smoke when it comes to AJ Brown's character issues, that's ridiculous. And to kind of call out a certain side of the fan base for making up a narrative, that's also kind of ridiculous too, guys. Come on. I'll take my medicine when I need to take it. You guys need to take your medicine too. And the Eagle fan base in general's got to start taking their medicine a little bit. Stop denying what you see with your eyes. It's okay to admit there's a problem with this football team. It's okay to admit that it's not being run correctly, right? And if really we got a head coach on this team that apparently doesn't do anything. We got a head coach that's going to be in charge of, is he a cowboy now? Is he the cheerleader on this team? Because he's going to give it all to the offensive and defensive coordinator. And you say that that's not a problem. It's ridiculous. To say that that's not going to be an accident here a few months down the road that we're going to have to deal with, it's ridiculous as well. And to sit here and defend A.J. Brown, and again, I don't really know the validity of this story. I don't really care about the social media thing. I'm not a social media kind of guy. But to sit here and say that there's not something to A.J. Brown's character issues. You guys remember back in the day, the deprogrammers, the guys that would be hired by families. Like if your family member was sucked into a cult, right? They would hire these guys to drive around to like kind of kidnap you from the cult, toss you in the back of a van, drive you to a warehouse, and you had like 2 days to deprogram you before the cops showed up and they ran you down and threw you in jail for kidnapping. Listen, those clowns need a deprogram. All right, they got to come back to the light, man. Uh, it's criminal. It's okay to say that there's something wrong with the Eagles. It's okay to say we have the wrong people here. It's okay to say this franchise is being run into the ground. It's absolutely okay. But like they used to tell me back in the Army, because I served for 30 years, they used to say, if you got a problem and you want to come to the table with the problem, they come to the table with a solution as well to that problem. And I've come to the table multiple times on this show with a solution. It didn't work out. No one fired anybody, and we're stuck with the same clowns. What is it? Same clowns or different circus? Same clowns, different clowns, same circus, whatever. But to sit here and say all is right, there's nothing to see here, folks. Everybody keep moving. Keep moving down the street. We have nothing to look at. Oh, man. I mean, it's reaching comical aspirations. Um, so the Party on Broad gang, which will be the show will be on right after mine. Go check them out. See for yourself, man. If you're part of that sect of Eagle fans that don't see anything wrong and that everything is great and that we are the model franchise of the National Football League, hey, then party it for me. But if you're not, and you're part more on the side of me, and I'm not asking you to be on my side, because maybe there's an extreme between them guys and me. Maybe you should all fall in the middle of that. Probably more, that's better. Go ahead and check that show out and see for yourself. And maybe I'm off my nut. And again, it ain't the first time I've been called that. But just really, it's getting comical. It's getting comical that we cannot accept the fact that we have a problem here. We have a problem with our team. We have a problem with the way our team is run. We got a problem with our coach. Can't accept that, and I don't understand why. As I've said it on the show too. It's okay to say that we have the same problems like the other teams in the NFL do. It's okay to say that. It doesn't not make you a fan if you admit there's a problem here. No, it doesn't. Just push a fix, push a solution, and don't accept anything less than what you want because you are the number one stakeholder in this team. So my Eagles fandom is definitely in question, and not because of clowns like the Party on Broad and all that. Not because of that, but I'm just seeing more and more of that delusional fan base aspect of it all. That until we understand there's a problem here and we cut the heads off this thing, not keep on replacing the coordinators or hoping that Howie figures out how to draft players this year. But until we cut out the main issues, which are Howie Roseman and to a lesser degree Jeff Lurie, and to a more greater degree Nick Sirianni, until we do that, it's going to be an exercise in repeating this stuff. Because do you honestly think a year from today we're going to be in New Orleans? I mean, really? I know EOP wants to be there on Radio Row, and maybe we'll be there. But do you think we're going to be there talking about the Eagles? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's really concerning me. I really don't understand. I don't. Matty B, the island in the Susquehanna. Yeah, I guess that's where it's at. Sure. I don't care if AJ's here or not. They kissed AJ's ass after he was silenced. Yeah, no, you're right, Michael. You're right. As I said, maybe that's the reason why we were able to. What was the thing I heard on draft night? We fleeced the Titans. I can't believe how he was able to get AJ Brown. Listen, the draft pick that the Titans selected for AJ Brown has not worked out. So I guess in retrospect, that might have been the guy we picked. So I guess we were better off there. But AJ Brown's a cancer. Do you not see this? I'm not comparing him to Terrell Owens, and I'm not saying that he's a cancer right now. But we've seen he does not handle adversity at all, right? And you honestly think we're going back to 13-4, 14-3 next year? No, there's going to be more adversity for him to have to handle, especially if there's problems with the quarterback. Especially if there's problems once again with play calling. Now the reports out this week that the defense quit on Sean Desai. I mean, come on, guys. We got the offense going rogue on the offensive coordinator. We got the defense quitting on the defensive coordinator. What about being part of the team, right? There's other ways to go about getting a coach fired. And now we're hearing about the team quitting on the coordinators. And I'm the problem. I'm the crackpot. You got your team quitting. You got AJ Brown who held the media hostage during the season. Oh, look at me, look at me. I'm going to talk to the media. Or, oh, look at me, look at me. I'm not going to talk to the media. Then he admits they went rogue. And I'm the problem. Come on, man. See that there's a problem. And I'm not saying that this specific situation with, I don't know, Hurts season. I don't know any of that nonsense. I don't want to know. I don't care. I'm not saying they got to be best friends. I'm not saying that either. But to say that there's not something there with AJ Brown to be concerned about when it comes to character, something more that's going to come down the road when the losing starts again, fooling yourself, man. It's fooling yourself. Step away from the green Kool-Aid. I'll hire you a deprogrammer, and we can all come back to the light together. But come on, don't talk about a certain part of the fan base that wants to push a narrative. No, maybe they want to push the truth. You're pushing out this propaganda. You're pushing out this green sunglass, green Kool-Aid crap, and they're coming back at you. Don't tell them to shut up. Who the hell are you? I mean, come on, man. Take your medicine like the rest of us. Take your medicine like I had to take my medicine. Right? Well, I didn't really have to take my medicine this year because I was right. But anyway, it's ridiculous. Eagles played it safe. Why did they play safe, man? Sour apple Kool-Aid on tap, bottoms up. What can you call Howie out in the choice of coordinators? I don't buy that was false. I don't see him getting called up. Oh, Steven, really? I mean, okay. So, Steven, I don't know if you were tuned in at the beginning of the show. I'm under the weather severely. I got something. I'm also countering that with a lot of over-the-counter cold medication. So I'm kind of in and out. But the whole Howie thing, I mean, of course it was Howie, right? Howie hired the coordinators. Howie fired the coordinators. Howie's done all that crap. You're right. You're absolutely right. Why aren't we calling Howie out more often? I mean, once again, he's dancing. He's having the puppets dance, and including the Eagle fan base. We're fighting each other when the real enemy's sitting there in one Novacare way, right? Because we're fighting each other when we should be fighting him. I'm just saying, man. You know, my Eagle fandom's in question right now, hardcore in question with this team and the way they're run. And I'm starting to really run out of patience for the Eagle fan base. Certain members of them, not you guys. I love you guys. You guys, me and you are simpatico. You're on the show. So, but anyway, go ahead and check out Party Abroad. It's a great show on Monday nights at 9, right after me. Right after me. But before you go over and check out Party Abroad, make sure you head over to Sherry's Tickets Town. If you're looking for great prices on hard to find concert, theater, and sports tickets, no hidden fees. Sherry's Ticket Town, www.sherrystickets.com. Save an additional 10% when you enter the promo code EOP. And they'll take great care of you. So, all right. So let's kind of pivot here off the Eagles because I wanted to get off. I wanted to get that off my chest. I didn't really want to talk about the Eagles tonight. I didn't. I wanted to let Sleeping Dog. The Senior Bowl got over this weekend, and now now what? With Combine next, and then it's free agency, and then it's the draft, in which we got. Listen, EOP got you covered draft more than I've ever seen anybody else. Chris Dives, the aforementioned Chris Dives, literally starts working on the 2000. He was working on this draft the day after, or moments after, or maybe day 2 of the 2023 draft. So he spends a lot of time on the draft, and we're going to have you covered again this year, better than anybody else. We'll have you covered. And if I had a graphic, which I'm sure Al's working on, I'd throw it up. But just be on the lookout for that, the NFL draft, late April on EOP. So the Flyers, again, as I mentioned, I did a mid-season check-in show yesterday with the boys from the Clear the Ice. And if you're wondering what's going on with the Flyers, wondering what we're doing on Clear the Ice, here's a reminder: tomorrow night the Flyers will be back in action against the Florida Panthers. And here on Clear the Ice, we're going to a dual-man system. That's right. We're going to come at you with a host and a co-host tomorrow night. Me and Pat we'll kick off the second half of the season. We got the call for the Panthers, and then here's me and Al on Thursday, and then Mike in Austin on Saturday as we wrap through the week, kind of mixing it up a little bit on the clear of the year. Hopefully, we're gearing up for a cup run or a playoff. That would be great. But today there was some formal news out of London, Ontario. The London, Ontario Police Service made their much waited for press conference, kind of announced what's been going on. Now, I don't know, people. There was more information really out of the Gary Bettman portion of the press conference on Friday from Toronto than there was out of this London Police Service thing today. I think the biggest thing of today was that we know now once and for all that Carter Hart has been formally charged with one count of sexual assault, and the process will now carry out over the next, they're saying in some cases, 2 years. So, where does that leave the Flyers? I mean, and I hate to say it like that. We talked about this a little bit on the show yesterday. Obviously, I think we're all in agreement that I don't see a pathway back for Carter Hart to the Flyers. He was actually named in the indictment as Carter Hart from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And I know I get it. Most of the players live in Cherry Hill, but yeah, I don't really see a way back for him as this process will kind of unfold. And again, if he's innocent of all charges, and that's the way he is found after this process goes through the paces, then whatever. But as far as the Flyers are going, I mean, there's really nothing they can do here. He's a restricted free agent at the end of this season. In that snapshot, everything in hockey is hard to explain. Everything in hockey is hard to understand. And the restricted free agent contracts of these players is even harder to understand. And I'm going to break down what an RFA in hockey means. All right. I'm not going to give you the A through Z, but I'm going to give you the meat of it. Right. So Carter Hart, who was drafted by the Flyers in 2016, signed, I believe, his ELC in 2018 or maybe 19. It was 19. Yeah, 2019, he signed his ELC. So the Flyers have 3 years to sign a draft pick. Yeah, well, every NHL team does. And after that third year, that player becomes an unrestricted free agent. They don't get redrafted, so to speak. They get signed whoever they want to sign. But if they're signed, everybody gets signed to an ELC or an entry level contract, and they are standard 3-year deals. And then, depending on where you start the season, once you sign your ELC, if you're not in the organization, then there's some sort of kind of, I don't know, delayed clause that doesn't have your contract taken right away. But if you're in the organization, your time starts going right then and there. After that 3-year ELC ends, you're a restricted free agent. Players have 3 years of restricted free agent contracts to get after their first initial ELC. So their first 4 contracts in the NHL are team-friendly, team control type situations. Carter Hart was coming up on his final RFA year. This would have been his final RFA contract this year. That Flyers pretty much own his rights. And how that works in hockey is this: June 30th, teams can start negotiating with their RFAs verbally, right, for a new contract. Now, nothing can be done on paper, I think, until July, somewhere. No, I'm sorry. Let me get it right. They can start negotiating with a player verbally as soon as the season ends. There's a period of time, right? The actual signing period for RFAs begins either the day after the NHL draft or June 25th, whatever comes. They have from that moment to July 15th to issue a qualifying offer to either issue a qualifying offer and sign their RFA. If that doesn't happen, meaning if the team submits a qualifying offer before July 15th, a written one, and the player kind of hems and haws over it, says, "You know what? I don't know. I don't know if I want to sign this." Well, a couple of things are going to happen there. Any team out there can sign this player, can offer them a qualifying offer of something else, right? But then the Flyers have what they call first refusal, which means they can match it right off the bat. They can say, "Nope, okay, the Red Wings are offering you this. Well, we're going to match that. Guess what? It's over. The negotiation period ends, you sign, boom, we're done. Or Flyers could be like, "Nah, Red Wings want you. Yeah, see you later." Now, the Flyers are owed compensation from that, and that compensation is based on where you were drafted. In Carter Hart's situation, it was second round, so I think it's something like they owe the Flyers the next 3 years of second round draft picks. I mean, it's pretty hefty, right? Why you don't really see it that often where teams go and say, "Oh, we're gonna steal an RFA," because you owe that team myriad numbers of draft picks 4 years later. I believe if you steal a first round pick, it's like the next 5 first round draft picks you owe that team in compensation. It's a crazy number. Um, and then anyway, that would be the situation. Now the Flyers could not outright not offer him a qualifying offer. And on July 15th, if they don't offer him a qualifying offer in writing by July 15th, if the league does nothing in terms of suspension or whatever, on July 16th he becomes an unrestricted free agent and he can sign wherever he wants anyway. And the Flyers don't really have to worry about it. Flyers could go ahead and release Carter Hart, right? But then that release has got to be kind of verified and justified. And if not, he can sue the league and sue through the Players Association, sue the Flyers. And I don't know the verbiage when it comes to this type of situation because he's not been convicted. So I don't know really how that works. Because I don't really see. Does it make any sense for the Flyers to sign Carter Hart? They're not going to have his services for 2 years. I mean, they're going to burn through his final year of RFA. If they're even thinking about this doesn't match up. It doesn't line up. It doesn't line up for the development of the team. And this guy's going to have to deal with what he's dealing with fully. I mean, are you really going to trust him come down and play hockey if he can leave Canada in the first place and be like right there to be a starting in the NHL? No, of course not. So moving on from Carter Hart is probably the best thing the Flyers can do. And we talked about it on the show yesterday. Do they potentially the Flyers offer teams a buyback program on their jerseys? Like, can you bring Carter Hart stuff to the team store and they'll give you credit? Will they switch the numbers and nameplates for you? Should the Flyers do such a thing? I don't really blame the Flyers here at all. This wasn't really something the Flyers saw coming. But do they try to show some good face by doing something like that? I think it might actually not be a bad thing. I really don't. Damn shame we never got value back for Hart. Yeah. Yeah, and that was something that we were obviously speaking about, but unfortunately, Steven, the NHL world, the circles of the NHL world are very small, and the Flyers were aware that this was happening. Of course they were. Everybody else was aware. Nobody wanted to take a shot on him. The Flyers would have had to have moved on from Carter Hart at the end of the 21-22 season. They weren't going to do that then. Uh, Again, it goes back to that what I said at the beginning of the show. Why the hell can we not have good goalies in this town? Why is it a curse? Did Pelly Lindbergh curse us? Um, you know, well, because I don't get it, man. We have not been able to have we have not been able to settle this goaltending situation long term since Pelly. Really haven't. We've had a few placeholders come along the way. And I know Carter Hart was what he was. He was a little bit above average. Never a Carter Hart kind of guy, but obviously I don't wish this on him. But yeah, it is kind of a shame that we're not going to ever see what he could have been here, or more importantly, what we could have gotten him for him in trade. So, yeah, uh, offer the minimum. Offer Hart the minimum. I I don't know. I don't know what that means. I have an idea what that means, um, but anyway, it's a bad situation, right? And the hockey aside for the Flyers moving forward changes the season completely for me. You know, this was a great story. The Flyers were potentially running their way to a playoff berth. But now with the situation with Sam Ersson, who I think can be at least an opportunity for him to fight for that number one goalie position going forward. He's got that opportunity now. Granted, this was probably not the circumstances he wanted to have that opportunity with, but he needs to take it as an opportunity. And starting tomorrow night in Florida, and it's not going to get any easier. I mean, they got Florida, Winnipeg, and they got Seattle this week. Next week they got the Rangers and the Devils at some point. I mean, it's going to get hard. It's not getting. It's not going to be easier for this team moving forward. But Urson's got a chance right now. It's do or die time for him. if he wants to be considered a legitimate starting option for this team, and I'm not saying a number one guy, but if he's, if he wants to be a starter in this league, he's got the opportunity right now, and he's got to look past of how he got it and just look at that he's got it. Now the Flyers thought highly of him because they signed him long term, or they gave him that contract this summer, obviously positioning themselves for something like this. Uh, you know, but Sam Mercer's going to get that chance to starting now, and apparently Cal Peterson is going to back him up. Now, does that make anybody else uncertain about the Flyers goaltending situation? No disrespect to the Cal Peterson fan club out there, but I'm not really kind of digging that. And the Flyers, as I mentioned, have 7 goalies in the system right now that are languishing in leagues around the world, and are eventually going to be legitimate NHL prospects. But right now, none of them are NHL ready, except for Felix Sandstrom, and that's it. He's the only one other than Felix Sandstrom and Cal Peterson. The rest of them are either in Russia, up in Canada, and are not NHL ready. So bringing some of those guys up, and we talked about this a little bit heading into the All-Star break with an opportunity, you need to bring them here, um, give 'em a chance. Would that be good for them? I don't think it would. I think leaving things as is for them as they develop is the best thing to do. Now, is somebody playing above, like blowing someone's doors off that they say, you know what, bring him over here, then yeah. But right now, if that were the case, something would have been done. If the Flyers felt like that was the case, something would have been done over these past 10 days, and nothing was done. So Cal Peterson still is your backup, and Sam Emerson will be your starter. So the Flyers will start their second half, air quotes, tomorrow night against the Florida Panthers. And we got you covered here on the Clear the Ice. As I mentioned, we're going to go to the new dual host co-host format on our post-game shows. So be on the lookout for that. One last Flyer thing, and we're going to transition and talk some Phillies. I'm barely hanging on here, folks, so please bear with me. I'm not feeling well. But this is the time of the show where we're going to do our Flyer Prospect of the Week segment. We did this last week. We debuted it with Denver Berkey. Tonight we're going to follow up with one of Denver's teammates. And the London, Ontario Knights, well represented these days with Flyers. And tonight's Flyer Prospect of the Week, there you have it, right-hand defenseman Oliver Bonk. 2023 first-round draft pick, 22 overall. He was that second first-round pick that we took this year. It was Mitchkov at 7 and then Bonk at 22. So far, through 38 games for the London Knights of the Ontario Hockey League. He's got 16 goals, 35 assists, 51 points, 16 penalty minutes, and +8. Oliver Bonk, your Flyer Prospect of the Week. He's also fresh off of an opportunity. He was with he played in the World Junior Championships this year in Sweden, and was really a big-time contributor for them as Team Canada was kind of making a run. Oliver Bonk. Let's take a little bit of a look at Mr. Bonk, and we're going to kind of highlight some of his goals. It's going to be interesting when you see Oliver, the way that London has him positioned, or the way they play him. He's a right-handed defenseman. But take a look at, and we're going to run this thing. And there's Bonk right there, right off the bat. Look at that, nice, really good head-up shot, kind of along the ice, but high enough to where you can play a rebound or a tip-in play. Beautiful little snapshot, not a slap shot, but a snapshot right there. Beautiful goal. Looking for the side there. So a little silly there. I hate the way they celebrate these days. But let's take a look at this play. All right, let's set it up for you. Where do you think Oliver Bonk is here in this play? He's a right-handed defenseman. That's him right there in front of the net. It's funny how they play defensemen and actually around hockey these days. If you're looking for an offensively minded defenseman, Oliver Bonk once again kind of fits that mold. He's I guess the days of Scott Stevens are over. This is Oliver Bonk playing in front of the net. London is on the power play. They're playing him as a centerman on the power play. And you're going to see this a little bit later on in this clip as well, too. But they have him as a centerman here in this clip. And again, this is going to cause a lot of chaos in front of that net. Right there, picking up that rebound, and boom. You got to count for him. I mean, he's a man in a boy's world right now. I get that. But to allow him that much space to operate in front of the net, it's just you're not going to let him do it. He kind of uses his strength there to pull away. And there's Sam Dickinson, who's going to be a prospected draft pick this year. Look at that. Nice cleanup rebound, goes backhand for the goal. Yeah, there's Oliver Bonk. Yeah, got a little scream in your face. Yeah. So, all right, let's set this one up. There's Bonk out here in the slot. Okay, more of a traditional defenseman's role on the power play, his actual position. Uh, please excuse the defense. And I don't know who coaches these guys, but when you're completely focused on the puck, you gotta have your head on a swivel, man. They teach you that in junior and youth hockey. Come on, look around you guys. The play is not all right here in front of you, but everybody here is focused on the puck. It's amazing. But Bonk is going to kind of just sit back. No one's really caring. He's right back here in the slot. He's just waiting, probably licking his lips, man, salivating as he just stands there with no defensive, nothing. They tried to get the pass to him. It actually was intercepted, but then not played cleanly. It's going to pop out the Bonk here, and he's just going to be the recipient of this, and boom. Just, right? Bad defense, but nice play by Bonk. Again, nose for the net. Show the play again. Again, they had an opportunity to kind of break that play up, but Bonk, I would like for him to be a little bit more active, kind of going towards the puck a little bit. He kind of stood there waiting for the puck. I don't like that, but you know what? It worked out. I guess he knows his enemy too. That team thinks that he's playing bad defense. All right. So this is there they are again. London is in the white. Bonk is down here. You can't see him. He's off camera, but he's down here by the net. Again, a right-handed defenseman. And he's playing down here by the net. Look at the Erie. This is Erie in the gray. Look at their configuration. And nobody in God's green earth knows Oliver Bonk is back here. I'm the only one. Me and the fans here in the stadium, the only ones that know Oliver Bonk is back here because the players on the ice for the Erie team have no clue Oliver Bonk is standing behind them. And I watch this play kind of develop. Everyone's going to rotate towards the play again. How do you lose sight of somebody completely behind the play? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defensemen have no clue. Everyone's fixated on the puck here. Could somebody just look up and be like 1, 2, 3, 4? We got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No one's paying attention. No one's paying attention. Bonk is going to sit there, score. Right. Now, maybe some of these goals are not fair because there's some bad defense here, but I'm really showcasing this to show you that he's got a nose for the net, and he's being used in a lot of different configurations than the typical defenseman configuration. They got him playing center. They got him playing on the wing. He's a main contributor to the London power play. This is going to be Bonk again, and once again, on the power play. It's Kitchener. He's going to be a favorite whipping boy of this team. There's Bonk right here in the middle. There's no getting the passes. Bonk is playing the center right here. He is playing center. And he's a big kid. They're putting the body in front of him. And that's tipping, right? Again, he's got a nose for the net. So there's Oliver Bonk for you. That was the Flyers' number 22 overall pick in this year's draft as our Flyer prospect of the week. The reason why I was showing you those clips, not to kind of demonstrate his great offensive prowess. Listen, there was some bad defense going on in those games that he was playing. But my point is this, that they use him up on the net. They use him as that extra kind of offensive threat in front of the net. Is that how they're going to translate his game over in the NHL level? I'm not certain. But you know what? Again, another offensively minded defenseman join the club that we have now. It's going to be interesting to see. I want to see more of him in that traditional defenseman role, but does that come maybe next year when he comes to the AHL, or is it next year, his final year up in London? I don't know, but at a certain point, you'd want to see more of him as an actual traditional defenseman. He's got comp. He can't move quite as fast as Jamie Drysdale, but he's got a shot like Drysdale's. And as I said, in London, at least for the Ontario and for the London Knights, they play him. They use him as an extra center on the power play. He's very offensively minded. You saw where he was lined up in a lot of those plays. It wasn't in your traditional defensive mode. So Oliver Bonk, your Flyer prospect of the week here on the Talking Phillies Sports with Manny B program. Every week, we'll highlight a new Flyer prospect. And as mentioned before, that segment was brought to you in part by Philly Sports Trips. You want to travel like the pros, look no further than Philly Sports Trips. They got you covered for trips down to Clearwater this spring. I think that one's sold out, but there's some tickets left on this one. They also got you covered for the same series trip on February 17th against the Devils at MetLife Stadium. So head over to Philly Sports Trips today and check out what they have to offer. My final segment of the night is, as I mentioned at the top of this show, man, pitchers and catchers report. February 14th, 2024. The race for the Red October will begin on Valentine's Day. Very poignant, very red, right? Very red this year, as Phillies pitchers and catchers will report to Clearwater on February 14th. And I know it's probably going to be a problem, or is it? This isn't like first day of football season, right? I mean, it's not opening day. I mean, there's no games. Is anybody going to actually kind of build their Valentine's Day plans around pitchers and catchers reporting? Unless, of course, you're already in Clearwater. I mean, is anybody really building? Is that really affecting anybody out there? It's kind of low hanging fruit, to say that. Oh yeah, pitchers and catchers report. But that's all right, hon. It's not going to affect us because I guarantee that was probably a lot of the spouses and girlfriends and other husbands, whatever, that weren't in the sports. When you probably said that to them, pitchers and catchers report on February 14th, and they're like, "Oh, great, we just finished the football season, and now on Valentine's Day, we're going to transition right back to baseball. All right, what game are you going to not be able to go? What time do we got to be home? What's going on?" No, hon. Listen, yeah, pitchers and catchers report. It's nothing that I gotta be there for, nothing I gotta see live or track. I mean, I'm speaking from my own standpoint, but nothing that I gotta do. I'm just telling you that it's a special day. It's even more special day when pitchers and catchers report on Valentine's Day. So, and that probably made your significant other feel even more. So it already benefited you because they're like, "Oh, look at him, pitchers and catchers report, but it didn't affect me. I can still go to dinner." I know it's also Ash Wednesday, I think, for you Catholic people out there. Um, but yeah, so pitchers and catchers report on the 14th, and the Phillies remain in hibernation. That's right. Here on the Edge of Philly Sports, don't forget we also do the Fight is Final, a great Phillies postgame show that we're going to get started here with, obviously relatively soon. We're also starting to write our the 2024 Player Spotlight articles on certain Phillies from 2023. I think I've done 4 of them already. Our mission is to do all the Phillies players that we project that are going to be part of what's happening here this season. And of course, looking at some of the news around this team heading into spring training, you know, Bryce Harper's first full year as the first baseman. Reese Hoskins no more is now a Milwaukee Brewer. The Phillies lost Craig Kimbrell as expected, but haven't really replaced him yet. I wrote an article about Orion Kerkering and thinking that maybe he's what the Phillies are hoping that they can kind of replace Kimbrel with. He's got that kind of stuff. I mean, he's pitching well over 100 miles an hour. Um, if he can develop something more of a closer's mentality, could he be part of that back end of the rotation or the back end of the bullpen? The Phillies don't really go with a dominant closer. They go with more of a closer by committee. But could he be part of that? The starting rotation, with the exception of the top 2, which of course are now still Wheeler and Nola. Wheeler now entering his final year of his contract. Does he get a new deal? Nola's going to be entering the first year of his extension, 7-year contract that he signed this offseason. Is that going to be a lot of how much pressure is on him? How much pressure is on the rest of the rotation? Because what is the rest of the rotation after Wheeler and Nola? Taijuan Walker, does he even still play for the Phillies? I know he signed a 4-year contract last year or 3-year contract. Was relegated to cheerleader in the post. Are we ever going to find out the real story there? Why did he not get used at all in the postseason? And is he the number 3? Is Ranger Suarez the number 3? Are they going to go sign a number 4? Who's the number 5? Is it Sanchez? Is it is it Sir Anthony? Who's our 5th starting pitcher? The Phillies are pretty thin right now on starting pitching depth right now in the organization. They got 5 pitchers that could do it, but with the questions about Taijuan Walker and the questions about Sanchez, who's never really, I mean, Christopher Sanchez, for what he's worth, came in last year and stabilized that back end of the rotation. He did. We were looking for help all season there, and when he came in or came back from injury, was really the savior there. So does he do it again? But when you're looking at those 5 pitchers, like, let's kind of play devil's advocate. Let's look at Nola, Wheeler, Walker, Suarez, Sanchez. That's it. I mean, there's nobody else really at the back end of that. There's no other depth's not there. I mean, Lorenzen will probably won't. I gotta look to see if he signed anybody, Michael Lorenzen. I don't think he did, but I mean, he's not. Is he the answer there? Do they go out and find themselves another starter? I mean, we don't have any more depth. The Mick Abel McGeary thing enters another frustrating year, especially for Abel. He's going to be entering his 5th year in the Phillies minor league system and can't seem to get above Double A. I mean, how much more? I believe he's going to be part of the Phillies training. He's going to get an opportunity to pitch for the Phillies in spring training. But how much more do we want to see out of him this year? McGeary, who dealt with injuries last season, who's on the higher trajectory here? You know, the Andrew Painter thing, obviously, that was a big story last year. Still a big story because it really kind of set back, I think, the plan for this rotation for the Phillies and Dombrowski. So there's some depth issues with the starting 5. I mean, we have 5, but after that, we don't have any. So, if, you know, are we planning on the entire rotation not getting hurt through 162 games? I mean, that'd be great, but I'm not necessarily sure that's the way you need to do it. And then, of course, you look at the bench. You know, I still have images of Jay Cave leaking the last out of the season. I can't shake it. So there's an upgrade there too. We need at least one viable bat coming off that damn bench, and we don't have that right now. So there's still work to be done. And I'm not saying the Phillies can't do it. I'm just saying I don't know what they're waiting for. Honestly, we are less than 2 weeks away from the start of spring training. Pitchers and catchers, February 14th, and the Phillies haven't really addressed those other needs, and it's getting to that critical standpoint. So let's hope they figure something out. Maybe tomorrow, Bellinger and Blake Snell. Maybe they're going to announce that tomorrow. Dual signing tomorrow. Cody Bellinger and Blake Snell sign with the Phillies. And all right, silence the doubters. I'm done. I'm not going to say anything. That'd be great. I'll be on for that. But more to follow with that, folks. Thankfully, it's going to wrap me up. I made it to the end. Don't know how I did it. I am very sick. I'm very under the weather. I'm dealing with some things. I hate being sick, but I'm sick now. Hopefully tomorrow night when I'm back at you for the Clear the Ice program, I'll be feeling better. But I was able to get this show through. We talked about a lot. We talked about the annoyancy of some certain Eagle fans out there to not accept the reality that there's a problem. Instead of bad-mouthing the fans who do accept the problem, let's work together on trying to fix the problem, right? And let's band together against the problem. We talked some Flyers, the future of this team without Carter Hart, future of this team maybe going forward a little bit. We didn't really get into much about the Flyers as they move towards potential playoff berth. Now, I mentioned it yesterday on the show. I don't care if they make the playoffs if they don't. I think the season has been a success with everything they've dealt with, everything that's happened. They've handled it well. So it would be great for them to make the playoffs, but I'm not going to gauge the season as a success or a failure if they don't. I really am not. It's a process, right? And then we talked a little Phillies. We talked about the Flyer prospect of the week, which was Oliver Bonk, and everything as well. Phillies spring training February 14th, and it's going to do it. So, and I don't have the graphic for the lineup. It's out there. You guys know the deal. So, but listen, we'll talk again next week. We'll talk actually tomorrow night for the Ice program. But until we talk again, what do they say? That is the news, and yeah, I'm out of here.